Hey everybody, today I'm going to walk you folks through how to set up both Reshade and also any Soup Screens Reshade presets. To get these things to work correctly, it's helpful to note how this stuff works. So essentially you'll be installing all of your shaders through the Reshade installation, and then you'll drop in the preset files afterwards. I don't include the shaders within the preset downloads because they specifically ask users not to, so I respect that. I would assume this is to prevent conflicts with previous versions when updates come out. The presets you are downloading from Soup Screens are basically just telling Reshade which shaders to use and then setting all of the specific parameters for each one. So with that said, the first thing you'll need to do is to download and install Reshade. You can get Reshade at reshade.me, and I'll leave the link for you in the description below. But if you scroll down to the bottom of the page here, you'll see the download button. Go ahead and download the Reshade installer, and then also you should have downloaded any of the preset files that you'd like to use from Soup Screens. So I have a folder here on my desktop already, where I already downloaded the Reshade installer and also a bunch of presets that we're going to install. So once you've downloaded the Reshade installer, go ahead and run this first. So it's going to ask you to select the game that you want to install on. So click here and go to Browse to navigate your game directory wherever you have it installed. This can differ based on what launcher you use or if you use a launcher at all. But say, for example, I'm installing on the Elder Scrolls Online, which is where I am right now. Since I'm installed through Steam, I will navigate to where I have Steam installed, and then we're going to go to Steam Apps, Common, ZeniMax Online, the Elder Scrolls Online, Game, Client, and you can see the executable, the application right here, ESO64. That's what we're looking for. So it's definitely worth noting that some launchers have a game directory structure that can be really confusing when trying to install Reshade. I think whenever I'm installing on a game that I have installed through Epic Games, they store the executable in a binaries folder, even though there's another executable in the main folder. I think it's weird. And the binaries one works with Reshade and the other one doesn't. But point being, it can save some troubleshooting headaches to know that sometimes you need to dig in this directory a little bit to make sure you have the right one. I do my best to list the directories and the installation steps on each Soup Screens preset page. So anyway, we're going to select ESO64 and click Open. And then we are going to select the rendering API for ESO, which happens to be Direct3D 10 Plus. This is typically the case for most games, but again, I try to list the correct setting in the install section on each page if it's going to be different. So we're going to select that. Now we need to select which shaders to install. I typically install all of them. They don't take up much space, and it's just easier when working with presets to know that you'll have anything that the presets may be using. So basically, we're just going to check all of these. And then it's just going to bring us through each of these individual shader packs, and we can select the individual shaders. So really all you're doing here as it's downloading is just making sure that all of these are checked. And it's going to download as we go. All good. All good. All good. All good. And when we get to the legacy shaders, you'll see downloading legacy standard effects. For some reason, some of these come unchecked by default. I don't know, maybe it's just because there's too many to list, but I do use some of these, so I would suggest checking all of them. I think they're helpful to have. They're nice. We'll hit OK, and there we go. So now we'll see Reshade setup was successful. So we're good. So we can go ahead and X out of here. And now we just need to get all of these preset configuration files in there as well, right? So I'm just going to click all of them. I'm going to copy. And then I am going to go to the same directory that I just installed Reshade to. So you can see I already have these here. If these weren't here, we would just go, here we go. You can see we have Reshade shaders in here now. That's an easy way to tell that this is the directory that this is installed to. And we can also see the executable that we just found here as well. So I'm just going to paste in here, and that's that. We're good to go. So now this should be, if everything worked correctly, this should be all set. So I'm going to go ahead and boot my game up. Just to make sure this worked. Hit play. And the first thing you'll see is you should see the little Reshade notification thing in the top left here. Then it says press home to start the tutorial. So if we press home, you see it will open up Reshade on the left, and it'll walk you through. You can read this if you want. It'll walk you through a little tutorial that kind of explains what all of these things are. We basically have our preset selection at the top. We have all of our shaders here in this window. And then down towards the bottom here, we have all of the parameters for each shader, right? So like if I click on aspect ratio, see now we have aspect ratio selected, and here are the parameters for that shader, right? So that's basically how it works. So if I select one of the presets that we just installed, we can see them all right here, which is a good sign. If I turn one on, it'll compile the effects, and we're good. We can see these are checked on, and you don't really have to play with the parameters unless you want to. Personally, I find it a lot of fun to make these presets. So if you'd like to mess with these, you can, but otherwise this should be all set. So again, home screen is to close it back out. And let's see how we're looking here. So a couple things while we're loading in. If you ever want to uninstall Reshade, you do it the same way that you install it, right? So if you open up the Reshade installer and go and select the executable that you selected the first time, if it detects a Reshade installation already there, it will give you the option to uninstall it. It's also important to note that every time you change games, for example, if I wanted to install this on another game, you need to go through this process again and install Reshade on there. But once Reshade is installed once, you don't have to install it every time you want to do another preset. So if I wanted to bring in more presets into ESO, I don't need to install Reshade again. I just download the preset and drop it in the folder because Reshade is already there. So here we go. So just to give a little A/B here, this is what the game looks like normally. And then this is with Reshade on. Definitely adds some nice color to it. And then whenever we want to change presets, we can just press home again. You can either click the drop down and select the one that you want, or you can even use the left and right arrows to jump through them. And then for most of these, I have a hotkey assigned to these effects. In this case, it's F11 that will turn the effects on and off, right? So basically if I hit F11, so you can see they're all off and now they're all on. So if you just want a quick way to A/B Reshade versus how the game normally looks, you can just hit whatever that hotkey is. So this is with it off, and then that is with Reshade on. And that is pretty much it. And I think that'll pretty much do it for this video on installation. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. All right, see you later.